His mother looks at him with no hope, just as she looks at the wheezing boy beside him who won't survive the winter. She expects him to die and tries not to get attached. Here, they don't give a name until the first winter. Why name someone who will be gone? But she doesn't know one thing. Inside her frail son's body sits a grown man who sees bricks in the river mud. Walls, a stove, a whole new world. At first there was only darkness, then a blow. Not pain, pressure from all sides, as if someone had clenched him in a fist. Then light, unbearable, and a scream. Someone else's. No, his own. He screams and can't stop. His lungs are on fire. Someone's huge, calloused hands lift him up. He opens his eyes and sees a blurry red spot. A bonfire. It reeks of burnt fat and wet wool. He breathes rapidly, like a... He doesn't understand why his body is so small, why his fingers won't obey him. He slips into sleep, wakes up, darkness again, smoke again. The days merge into a murky blur. They feed him something warm, carry him somewhere, rock him. The voices around him are rough and abrupt. The language is foreign. Time passes. Maybe 1 moon, maybe 3. He sees more clearly. The faces are dark, weathered with wrinkles around the eyes. The woman holding him has a scar across her cheek. She's young, but looks 40. And then he realizes, in bits, in fragments, he's a baby. This isn't a dream or a coma after an accident. He's in a foreign body. The world around him is unlike anything he's seen. There are no walls. Above his head, animal hides hang from crooked poles. The floor is bare earth. A fire burns in the middle and smoke billows against the hides, and everyone breathes it in as if that's just how it's supposed to be. And he isn't the only one this small. 2 other children lie nearby. One breathes with a wheeze, day and night. A boy of about 2. His ribs are visible through his skin. This boy won't live to see spring. He knows this for sure. He doesn't know how, but he knows. This is how his new life begins. Without explanations, without voices from above, no magical window before his eyes. Just 3 winters of unending horror in a body that won't obey. For 3 winters he learns all over again, to walk, to speak, to hold his head up, to clench his fingers. Every movement is a struggle for him. His body is weak, his lungs wheeze after every breath of cold air. His mother looks at him as if he were that wheezing boy, without hope. She simply waits for him to die. Everyone does this here. They don't give a first name until the first winter. They don't give a second name until the third. Why name someone who will be gone? He is 3 winters old. He crouches by the fire and chews on a piece of sinew. He has nothing to chew with. His teeth haven't grown in yet. He counts. 31 people in the tribe, 11 children. 4 are coughing. 2 are coughing so badly that he makes a diagnosis without being a doctor. Pneumonia, or whatever will lead to it in a couple of weeks. Their mothers know it too, and there's nothing they can do. No medicine, not even a pot to boil water in. He looks at the boy on the left, about 4 years old. Snot running down his chin. His eyes are cloudy. His mother strokes his head and knows what's coming next. And she can't do anything. She has no mug, no pot, nothing but her hands and her faith in the spirits that take children away. He turns away and looks at the riverbank 20 paces away. Clay, reddish, greasy. All 31 persons sees mud. He sees bricks, sees walls, sees a stove and a pot in which to boil water. He sees a roof under which this boy will spend the winter. He sees everything. And he can do nothing. Because he is 3 years old. Because his body weighs as much as a dog. Because if he stands up now and says everything he knows, the hunters will look at him like a sick puppy and turn away. He clenches his fists, unclenches them, clenches them again. His name is Jeong Hael. He is 34 years old. No, he is 3 winters and 34 years old at the same time. He is an engineer. He knows how to turn this mud under his feet into a world. But first, he has to survive. Learn to speak so that people will listen. Wait 7 years to get started. Maybe more. Maybe he'll die of a cough before then, but if he lives to see 7, he'll show them. Not for power, not for the leader's seat, but because that boy on the left is breathing the way no child should breathe. And if Hael can change that, he has no right not to try. Winter is coming. His first conscious winter. He gets used to the cold that numbs his fingers in a minute, to food that's always the same, half-raw meat in the ashes, tendons, roots. At night, everyone sleeps huddled together on the bare ground, children next to adults, dogs next to children, all together because no one can survive alone. He lies there and listens, coughing from all sides, hoarse, wet, wailing. It's not a disease, it's a way of life. They breathe smoke for days on end, sleep on the cold ground, drink from the river below the spot where they relieve themselves. He counts in his head. First-year mortality is 40%. Half make it to 5, a third to 10. Average lifespan is 25 winters. And these people consider this normal because they've never seen anything else. He has, and this knowledge burns inside him like embers. It is the 4th winter. The tribe considers him a strange, quiet boy, perhaps possessed by spirits. He is silent not because he cannot speak. He already understands the language, 300 words. He is silent because he observes. He memorizes who is in charge. Chief Tukan, a large man in his 30s, almost an old man by local standards. His word is final, but not in everything. There is a shaman, old Nalmi. She is nearing 40, and here she is ancient. Nalmi knows herbs. She knows when to give birth and when to wait. She knows which roots are poisonous. She casts spells on wounds. The spell doesn't work, but washing the wound with water and herbs, which she does before the spell, works. She just doesn't know that this is what works. Hael looks at her and sees a doctor who doesn't know he's a doctor. He memorizes her name. She will be important, very important. But not now. Right now, he's watching the fire. The bonfire is always burning. If it goes out in winter, it means death. That's why they never let it go out. And here, Hael sees a problem. Firewood. They burn whatever they can find. Damp branches, green ones, resinous ones, a column of smoke. Not enough heat. Every day, women and children go farther and farther for firewood. An hour there, an hour back. And the bundle lasts only until midnight. He begins to act, quietly, like a child who is just playing. He goes into the forest with the other children. But he doesn't gather just anything. He chooses dry, hard wood. Birch, oak. He recognizes the tree by its bark. He brings his branches and sets them aside. His mother notices after a few days. Her son brings only certain sticks, and these sticks burn longer, and there's less smoke. She puts them in the fire. They burn evenly and for a long time. Takan notices too, not the sticks. He notices that the hunter's wife sleeps closer to their fire, because it's warmer there. Takan isn't a fool. He comes over silently, sits down nearby, looks at the embers, then at the boy. He gets up and leaves. The next day, Hael's mother receives the best cut from the hunt. Not for herself, for her son. Takan didn't say anything, but he saw. Summer comes. Hael goes to the river every day. He squats down and digs up clay. He kneads it between his fingers. He rolls it into balls. The children think he's playing. He's testing it. Which clay is rich? Which cracks? Which holds its shape? He finds a spot downstream where the clay is reddish and dense. Good clay, with minimal sand. From it, he can make pottery that won't shatter in boiling water. He isn't making anything yet. It's too early. He has no strength, no words, but he already knows where to get the material. That's the first step. The fifth winter. The tribe breaks camp and heads down the river for 2 days' journey. All their belongings on their backs, skins, poles, bags of meat, stone knives, no carts, no sleds. People carry everything. Women carry more than men because the men walk with spears. The road is dangerous. Hael walks alone. His mother doesn't carry him. He falls behind. He's gasping for breath. He coughs. He falls. His mother turns around and waits. She doesn't help him up. She just waits. That's how it is here. Whoever can't walk stays behind, even if it's your own child. He gets up, grits his teeth, and walks on. By evening, a new place, just like the old one. Bare earth, a campfire, skins on poles, everything all over again. He lies there and thinks. They migrate every 2 or 3 seasons. They chase game their whole lives, and every move is a loss. The old people fall behind. The children get sick. Knowledge is lost because there's nowhere to store it. Nalmi keeps it all in her head. When she dies, half of it will go with her. No records, no walls behind which to stop and think. He looks at the river, wide and slow with clay banks. In the spring, wild barley grows there. He knows what it is. If he picks out the large ears and sows them separately, in 5 years there will be grain that can be ground. And if he grinds it, he can bake flatbread. And if he bakes flatbread, he won't have to run after deer. He can stay, build a house, to live. He is 5. He hasn't said a word to anyone, not about the clay, not about the barley, not about the water that needs to be boiled. He is waiting. He needs a body that can reach the shore without stopping. He needs a voice that people will believe. The 6th winter. He is 6. His body is still weak. His lungs wheeze every morning. But he speaks in full sentences now, and he has counted the tribe again. Not 31, 28. 3 have died. 2 children from coughing. 1 hunter from a festering wound on his thigh. Festering because he washed it with river water. The very same water in which half the tribe had relieved themselves that morning. Hael sat and watched the hunter die for 3 days. Nalmi smeared the wound with porridge and muttered. The wound turned black. On the 3rd day, the hunter fell silent. They wrapped him in a hide and dragged him into the forest. They don't bury people here. They leave them here. The animals will finish him off. Young, about 20, the best runner in the tribe. He died from a scratch that could have been treated with boiling water and a clean rag. His wife didn't cry. She stood and watched. Here, they don't cry for the dead, because if you cry for everyone, you won't have the strength left to live. The 6th winter is colder than usual. The river freezes early. Snow falls for 3 days. The reindeer are gone. The men return empty-handed. Once, again, a 3rd time. The tribe begins to starve. First they cut back the children's share, then the elders, then the women's. The men eat last, but they eat more. Because if they grow weak, there will be no one left to hunt, and everyone will die. The logic is harsh. By the standards of this world, it's right. Hael chews on a strip of meat that's supposed to last 2 days. His stomach is growling. He needs food to grow. But there is no food. He isn't thinking about hunger. He's thinking about the future. By the time he's 7, he needs to be big enough to mold a real pot. Not a ball, but a vessel that holds water. His hands need food. For food, they need to hunt. For hunting, they need strong men. The circle is complete, but hunger waits for no one. Spring is coming. The snow is melting. The river is breaking through. The tribe crawls out from under the animal skins like a sick animal, gray, with sunken eyes. 2 old men didn't make it. 1 child didn't make it. 25 people. There were 31. Hael stands on the bank and counts. If nothing changes, in 10 winters the tribe will be gone. It simply won't be there. They'll dissolve and vanish, like hundreds of tribes before them. He clenches his fists. Enough waiting. He is 6. His hands are small, but they can knead clay. He starts small. Every morning he goes to the river and molds pots, crooked, with thick walls. He sets them out to dry in the sun. They crack. He molds again. They crack. Again. On the 5th day, one doesn't crack. The size of his palm. Whole. He carries it to the fire, places it in the embers, waits. Pulls it out with a stick. The pot is gray and hot. It rings if you tap it with a fingernail. Fired clay. The first fired object in the history of this tribe. No one notices. A small gray thing the size of a fist. He wasn't expecting applause. He was expecting a result. The clay is fired. The fire's temperature is high enough. He can move on. He molds every day. The pots get bigger, smoother. He adds fine sand to the clay and it cracks less. Then he remembers. Fire clay. The fired clay needs to be ground up and mixed into the raw clay. He smashes his first pot, grinds it into powder with a stone, mixes it in. He shapes a new one. He fires it. Not a single crack. He sits on the shore holding a pot the size of 2 palms in his hands. Smooth, sturdy. You can pour water into it. Put it on the fire. Boil it. Give it to the child, and the child will live. He presses the pot to his chest and sits there for a long time. Then he stands up and walks to the campsite. The time has come. He carries the pot to the campsite and places it by the fire. He says nothing. He just sets it down. He sits down nearby. He waits. Nalmi is the first to notice. The shaman approaches. She bends down. She takes the pot in her hands. She turns it. She taps the side with her knuckle. She hears a ringing sound. She looks at Hael. Her eyes are narrow, dark, like a bird's. She asks what it is. Hael answers that it is a stone he made from mud. Nalmi is silent. Then she sets the pot on the ground and walks away. She doesn't say a word. But Hael sees her turn around twice. In the evening, Taken approaches the pot, the chief. He picks it up. He turns it around. He taps it too. He hears the ringing too. He asks Hael's mother what it is. His mother says her son is sculpting by the river. Taken looks at the boy. Hael looks back. Taken asks why. Hael says you can pour water into this stone. Taken frowns. Why pour water into a stone when you can drink from the river? Hael is silent. He can't explain about bacteria, about intestinal infections, about how the river downstream from where they relieve themselves is poison. He can't because he has no words. There are no words in the language. It's just that if he says the river water kills children, they'll think he's crazy. Water is a gift from the river spirits. Spirits don't kill, spirits give. That is what the tribe believes. That is what Nalmi believes. That is what Taken believes. Hael nods. He says he just wanted to try it. Taken snorts and walks away. The pot remains by the fire. For 3 days, no one touches it. On the fourth day, it rains. Cold, autumn rain. Everyone sits under their skins, shivering. Hael takes his pot. He walks to the river. He draws water, but not from the main channel. He walks 300 paces upstream to where a small spring gushes from beneath the rocks. Clean water, no mud, nothing to make it dangerous. He brings the pot to the fire, sets it on the coals. The water begins to bubble. It warms up, then it boils. Steam rises. The tribe watches, silently. They've seen boiling water before, when a stone from the fire fell into a puddle. But for someone to deliberately heat water in a pot, that's never happened. Hael waits for the water to cool slightly. Then he carefully takes the pot with his hands wrapped in a leaf. He brings it to his lips. He drinks. The hot water burns his lips, but he drinks, and he smiles. This is the first hot water ever drunk by a human in this world from a vessel made by a human. No one applauds. No one marvels. His mother looks at him and shakes her head. Strange child, drinking hot water from dirt? But that evening, when the cold chills him to the bone, one of the women approaches him and quietly asks for a drink. Hot water. He gives it to her. She drinks. She closes her eyes. She stands like that for a second. She opens her eyes. She looks at the pot, then at the boy. She says nothing. She leaves. But the next morning, she brings him a root she shares only with her own children. A sweet root. A rare one. She doesn't know why the hot water made her feel better. She just knows it did. And she thanked him. Hael takes the root and gnaws on it. Sweet. The first sweetness in 3 years. He almost cries. But he doesn't cry. No time. Autumn of the 6th year. Hael molds 5 more pots, all different sizes. One is large, almost as tall as an adult's head. He fires them all. 2 crack in the fire. 3 survive. Now the tribe has 4 pots. His first and 3 new ones. He doesn't give them away, doesn't show them off. He just by his mother's fire and heats water every evening. His mother gets used to it. Then Tohona's wife comes with a wooden bowl and asks for hot water. Then another woman. Then an old hunter who has been coughing at night for the past 2 years. He comes in silently. He sits down. Hael pours him hot water into a small pot. The old man drinks. He warms his hands against the sides. He sits like that. Then he stands up. He places a bone fishing hook in front of Hael, his best possession. And he leaves. Hael takes the hook. It's not a gift. It's payment. The old man paid for the hot water with the only valuable thing he had. Because hot water is a luxury that never existed. Hael looks at the hook and understands. It works. Words don't work. Explanations don't. Logic doesn't. The thing works. You make a thing. The thing makes a person's life better. The person believes you. Not because you convinced them, because they felt it. That's the key. That's his main weapon in this world. Not knowledge, not memory. A thing for a specific person. A pot of hot water for an old man whose hands are freezing. Nalmi has been silent all autumn, but Hael sees how she looks at his pots. For a long time, unmoving, with an expression he cannot read. Not anger, not fear, something in between. One day she approaches him when he is alone by the river. She sits down beside him. She is silent. Then she asks, "The spirits taught you to do this." Hael thinks for 3 heartbeats. Then he answers, "Yes, the spirits showed me this in a dream." He is lying, the first big lie in this world, but the only one that makes sense. If he says he knows on his own, he's a threat. A boy who knows more than the shaman is a dangerous boy. A boy to whom the spirits have shown this is different. It is a gift. It can be explained. it can be accepted. Nalmi is silent. She looks at the river. Then she stands up and walks away. She doesn't look back. Hael sits and breathes. His hands are shaking. Not from the cold, from tension. He has just walked the edge. If she hadn't believed him, if she had seen the lie, he doesn't know what she would have done. But he knows that in this world, a shaman has the right to declare a child cursed. And a cursed child is taken into the forest. The winter of his 7th year. He is 7. The worst winter in the last 3 years. Snow early. The cold is harsh. The wind from the north carries fine, sharp ice. The tribe sits under animal skins and waits for it to pass. There is nothing to wait for. The meat is running out. The hunters go out and return empty-handed. The reindeer are gone. Far, to the south. So far that 2 days' journey won't be enough. The tribe has no supplies for a 2-day journey. The tribe has no supplies at all. They live day to day. They killed a reindeer. They ate it. They killed a fish. They ate it. What they didn't eat, they dry on sticks. Dried meat is stored in bags made of intestines. Not for long, 2 months. If it's cold. If it's warm, it spoils in a week. Hael counts. There are 25 people in the tribe. 6 of them are hunters, 12 women and elders, 7 children, including him. Dried meat for 5 days. The berries ran out a month ago. The roots are under the snow. The fish are under the ice. You can't get them without hooks and a rope. A rope made from a reindeer's tendons, which must be killed. A circle. Another circle. Everything in this world goes in circles from which there is no escape. He breaks the circle, quietly, alone. He takes his smallest pot. He goes to the river. He breaks the ice near the shore. No, not near the shore. Further upstream, at the spring. He draws water. He returns. He sets it over the coals. He gathers everything he can find. Pine branches, dry ones, with needles, birch bark, the root the woman gave him in the fall. He saved it, dried it, hid it. He throws everything into the boiling water, stirs it with a stick. The smell, thick, bitter, coniferous, but pleasant, warm. He takes the pot off the coals, sets it aside to cool, then brings it to the old hunter, the very one who gave him the hook. The old man lies under a fur blanket, coughing. He's not well. Hael says, "Drink." It's hot. The old man sits up, takes the pot, drinks. He winces at the bitterness, but he drinks. The hot liquid goes down, and he feels the warmth spreading through his body. He closes his eyes, he drinks some more, finishes it, lies down. An hour later, the cough subsides. It doesn't go away, it subsides. That's enough for the old man to fall asleep, for the first time in 5 nights. Hael's mother sees everything. In the morning, she approaches and silently holds out her hand. Hael gives her the pot. She goes to the spring herself. She draws the water herself. She adds the pine needles and bark herself. She places it on the coals herself. This is the moment, small, inconspicuous, but it is the moment when someone other than Hael repeated what he had done. Knowledge passed from one person to another for the first time. In the middle of winter, trouble comes. Tohan has a younger brother. His name is Nirak. He is 20 years old, a strong hunter, cheerful, a favorite of the children. He always brings something back from the forest for the little ones, a berry, a nut, a pretty pebble. Nirak returns from the hunt and sits down heavily by the fire. Then he lies down. Then he starts coughing. By evening, he's coughing non-stop, a wet, deep cough, with a wheeze that Hael remembers from a past life. Not because he was a doctor, because that's how his grandmother coughed a month before she died. Pneumonia, severe, most likely bilateral. Narak is young and strong, but here, pneumonia at 20 without antibiotics is 50-50. And in winter, when it's cold and smoky and there's no proper food, it's 20-80. Not in his favor. Nalmi arrives. She sits down next to Narak. She takes out a little bag of herbs. She does what she knows how to do. A poultice. She applies it to his chest. She mutters words meant to summon the spirits. Hael sits off to the side and watches. Nalmi knows a lot. The herbs are the right ones. A mustard poultice is essentially what she's making. That's not bad. But it's not enough. Because the problem isn't on the outside. The problem is inside, in the lungs. That's where the warmth and moisture need to be delivered. Steam. Hot steam with pine needles and resin. Inhalation. The simplest procedure. In his past life, any grandmother knew how. A pot, boiling water, a towel over the head. Breathe. But there is no pot here, no towel, no boiling water. There is a pot, his pot, which is too small to boil enough water in, and which has no lid to direct the steam. For 3 days, Hael has been going to the river and digging up clay. His fingers are blue from the cold. His hands are shaking. He's molding. Not a pot. Something else. Something that has never existed in this world. A vessel, with a wide bottom, with a narrow neck, and with a hole on the side near the very bottom. A small, round hole that a finger fits into. He dries it by the fire. Not in the sun. There is no sun. It is winter. He dries it on the coals, slowly, carefully. He turns it every half hour. 2 days to dry. On the 3rd day, he fires it. He places it in the hottest part of the fire. He waits. He takes it out. The vessel is intact. It rings. The walls are thin. Thinner than those of his first pots. He has learned. The 4th day. Narak lies flat on his back. He's not coughing anymore. It's worse. He's breathing quietly and shallowly. His eyes are closed. His skin is hot. A fever. A high one. Tokon sits next to his brother and doesn't move. He understands what is happening. He has seen this before. Everyone has. When a person stops coughing and begins to breathe quietly, it is not a sign of recovery. It's the end. Nalmi stands off to the side. She did everything she could. Hael approaches the fire. Under his arm is his vessel. In his hand, birch bark rolled into a tube. Long. He carved and rolled it himself. He places the vessel on the coals. He pours water into it from another pot. Water from the spring. Hot. Already hot. He had heated it beforehand. He throws pine needles into the water. Fresh. Fragrant. He throws in a piece of pine resin. He throws in leaves. He throws a pinch of something he found by the river, a plant with a pungent smell, something like wild mint. The water in the vessel boils. Steam rises from the throat, but not from the hole on the side. Hael inserts the rolled-up birch bark into the side hole. The birch bark acts as a tube. The steam travels inside it. Directed. He brings the end of the birch bark tube to Narak's face, right to his nose and mouth. The steam enters his airways. Hot. Moist. With pine needles and resin and mint. Narak breathes, shallowly. But he breathes. The steam enters his lungs and does what it's supposed to do. It loosens the phlegm. It widens the brawn. It warms him. The whole tribe stands around, silently. They don't understand what he's doing. They see a pot with a hole in it, and birch bark, and steam, and a 7-year-old boy kneeling before a dying man, holding the tube. Nalmi stands closest of all. She isn't looking at Narak. She's looking at the pot, at the hole, at the steam. She sees a tool. She doesn't understand how it works, but she sees that it works. Because an hour later, Narak coughed, loudly, wetly. He coughed up a glob of mucus and began to breathe more deeply. Hael doesn't leave all night. Every hour he adds water, tosses in pine needles, directs the steam. By morning, Narak opens his eyes. He looks at the ceiling, then at Hael, then closes them again. But he's breathing, steady, deep, alive. Morning. Hael sits by the dying fire. His hands tremble with exhaustion. His eyes are heavy. He hasn't slept all night. He's 7 years old. His head is spinning and his chest wheezes. His own lungs are no better than Narak's. But he held on. Nalmi emerges from under the skins and stands nearby for a long time. Just stands there. Then he leaves. She doesn't say a word. Tohon comes out too. He approaches Hael, sits down next to him, remains silent. Then he stands up, takes a piece of meat, a second piece, an adult's portion, places it in front of Hael. Doesn't say a word, just watches. Hael takes the meat. He is 7. He has just received an adult's portion. This is not a gift. It's an acknowledgement. Tohon said it without words. You're not a child. You're useful. You are entitled to adult food. Hael eats. The meat is half raw and tough. The best meat of his life. Of both his lives. 3 days later, Narak is back on his feet. 7 days later, he goes out hunting. He is alive. He will live. He places a spearhead in front of Hael, his best one, flint, sharpened. Hael takes it. He is not a hunter. He has no need for a spearhead. But he cannot refuse. It is a gift for life. It is a currency that doesn't exist here, but works here. Gratitude. That evening, Hael sits alone by the river. He holds his vessel with a hole in it, the world's first inhaler. Crooked, thick-walled, ugly. But it works. He thinks about what remains for him to do. The list in his head is long. An oven, a real oven, with a draft and a chimney. Bricks, fired rectangular bricks that can be stacked on top of one another. Pottery, lots of pottery, of various shapes and sizes. A cooking pot, bowls, mugs, jars for storing grain. Grain, wild barley from the southern slope. It needs to be harvested. The best ears must be selected. Sow them, wait, harvest, sort, sow, again and again. At least 5 years until the first decent harvest. Cloth, made from something, from bast, from nettles, from anything. The main thing is that it can be used to bandage a wound, cover food, wrap a child. Tools, an axe with a lug, a hoe, a sickle, a knife, a real knife, not a flint chip. But that's far off, very far off. A knife requires metal. Metal requires a furnace capable of temperatures over 1,000 degrees. Such a furnace requires bellows. Bellows require leather treated in a specific way. The technological ladder. Each step builds on the one before it. You can't skip ahead. He knows this order. He remembers. Clay, brick, lime, furnace, bellows, copper, bronze, wheel. Each step takes years. He is alone, weak, small, with wheezing lungs and hands that grow tired after an hour of working with clay. But now he has something he didn't have 3 days ago. They listen to him. The old man drinks from his cup. His mother brews a pine decoction. Tokan gives him meat. Narak owes him his life. Nalmi is silent but does not hissing. This isn't power. These are the first threads, the first connections, the first hooks with which he clings to this world, to these people, to their trust. He sits on the shore. The water is dark, cold, ice at the edges. He looks at his hands, small, dirty, covered in clay. In these hands lies knowledge that could lift an entire civilization. But without the hands of others, this knowledge is worth nothing. Nothing. He understands this more clearly with each passing day. His craft is not pots. His craft is people. Spring of the 7th year. The snow melts early. The river breaks open into a vicious, muddy torrent carrying clay and branches and the swollen corpses of small animals. The tribe emerges from winter. 25 people. No one has died this winter. For the first time in 4 years. Hael knows why. Hot water. Pine-scented steam. Warm broth for the elderly and children. Small things. But in winter, small things decide who lives and who doesn't. Tochan knows it too. He doesn't say it out loud, but Hael sees how the chief looks at him. Before, he looked at him as if he were a strange child. Now he looks at him as if he were something to be cherished, something useful. Spring means work. Hael has been waiting for this moment all winter. He has thought out a plan. Simple. Clear. 3 tasks for this year. First, build a real stove. Not a bonfire, not a pit with coals, a stove with a chimney. Second, fire enough pottery to last the whole tribe. Third, start gathering barley seeds. The third task is the most important, but the quietest. It can be done unnoticed. The first 2 require people, help, other hands. He starts with the oven. He goes to the river. He digs for clay. But now he has help. Nirak, a 20-year-old hunter who owes him his life. Nirak doesn't understand why Hael needs so much clay, but when the 7-year-old boy tells him to dig, he digs. Because this boy gave him back the air in his lungs, and Nirak isn't the type to forget. In 3 days, they hauled in enough clay, a pile the size of a lying deer. Hael adds sand. He kneads it. He mixes it. He shows Nirak how to mix it. Nirak mixes it. Strong hands, big hands, 10 times stronger than Hael's. In an hour, he does what would take the boy a day. There it is, the formula. His mind, someone else's hands. A division this world has never known. Hael chooses a spot, at the edge of the campsite, where the wind usually blows from the river toward the south. We need a draft. He draws a circle on the ground with a stick, 4 paces across. Nirak looks at the drawing and doesn't understand. Hael explains. A pit, deep, waist deep for an adult. There will be a fire in the pit, clay walls around the pit, a hole in the walls. The smoke will rise through the hole, not to the sides, up. Nirak scratches his head. Why does the smoke go up? Hael answers, to breathe. Nirak understands this. He understands breathing very well. How he couldn't breathe. They dig the pit for 3 days. Then Hael molds bricks. Not exactly bricks. Clumps of clay the size of 2 fists. Flat on the bottom, flat on top. Identical. He can't make them even. His hands are small. There are no molds, but he makes them all the same size. That's already a revolution. Things of the same size, interchangeable, standard, a word that doesn't exist here. He dries them in the sun for a week, then he fires them, in batches, 10 at a time in the fire, half crack, half survive. In 2 weeks, he has 30 bricks, rough, crooked, but sturdy. He begins to build the oven wall, brick by brick. Clay between them acts as mortar. Wet clay sticks and holds. Nirak watches and understands. Stones placed one on top of another, like a rock, but a rock you built yourself. He asks if it's possible to build a wall out of such stones. Hael answers yes. Nirak is silent. He thinks. Hael sees how his mind works, slowly, with effort, but it works. A wall means protection. Protection from the wind, from animals, from other people. Nirak takes it in. The oven grows, slowly, day by day. Hael lays the bottom row. Nirak lays the top. Hael's mother brings the clay. Nirak's wife mixes it. 4 people, each doing their part. None of them realize they've just invented the division of labor. 3 weeks later, the oven is ready. Round, waist-high for an adult, with an opening at the bottom to load firewood, with a chimney on top. A pipe made of clay rings. Crooked, not very tall, 4 palms wide. But it works. Hael lights the fire. The firewood is dry. Birch, the very same kind he's been collecting for 2 years. The fire catches. Smoke rises up the chimney and goes straight up. Not to the sides, up. The heat goes inside the kiln and stays there. It doesn't dissipate. It concentrates. Hael places 10 raw pots in the kiln. He covers the opening with a stone. He waits. 3 hours. He takes them out. All 10 are intact, not a single crack. The kiln provides even heat, controlled, predictable. Half survived in the bonfire, all 10 in the kiln. Tokan comes to look. He stands silently. He looks at the 10 identical pots lined up in a row on the grass. He says nothing. But in the evening, he sits next to Hael by the fire. Not across from him, next to him. It's a gesture. Here, the chief sits next to those he trusts. Nalmi also comes to look at the oven. She walks around it, touches the walls, peeks inside, then turns to Hael, speaks. The spirit of fire lives inside this. Hael nods, says yes. The spirit of fire has agreed to live in the house Hael built for him. And in this house, the spirit works better because it's comfortable. Because the wind doesn't interfere. Because there's a roof over its head. Nalmi is silent. She hears the boy's words and can't argue. Because there is logic. Even within the framework of her world, where everything is explained by spirits, there is logic. A house needs a roof. Fire needs one too. She leaves, but not angry, thoughtful. Hael exhales. One more step. One more conversation with Nalmi that didn't end in hostility. A fine line. He walks it every day. The summer of his 7th year. Hael has 30 pots, different sizes, small ones for drinking, medium ones for cooking, large ones for storage. He gives them away, doesn't sell them, doesn't trade them, gives them as gifts. 2 pots for each family. A mother with a sick child gets 3. An old man gets a small one with a handle. Hael molded the handle specially, because the old man has arthritis and can't hold a smooth pot. People take the pots, silently. At first, they don't understand what to do with them. Hael shows them. Fill it with water, put it on the coals. When it boils, throw in the meat. Boil it. Don't roast it on a stick. Boil it. Broth, fat, warmth. All in one pot. A week later, the camp smells different. It used to smell of smoke and char. Now it smells of cooked meat, broth, hot. The first broths in the history of this tribe. The women are boiling everything. Meat, bones, roots, herbs. Everything that used to be roasted on a stick or eaten raw is now put in a pot of water and placed over the coals. Hael doesn't explain the nutritional value of the broth, about how boiling extracts calcium from the bones, about how boiled food is easier to digest. He simply gave them the pots. They figured out for themselves what to do with them. That's better. When a person discovers something on their own, they believe it. When they're told, they doubt it. Between tending the oven and the pots, he's working on a third task. Quiet, unobtrusive. Every morning, before the camp wakes up, he goes to the southern slope upstream. There, among the other grasses, wild barley grows, slender, with small ears. Not the barley he knew in his past life, a distant ancestor, but barley. He recognizes it by the shape of the ear and by how the grains sit in the husk. He walks among the stalks and looks. He searches for the largest ears, the fullest ones, with the biggest grains. He finds them. He breaks them off carefully. He puts them in a small gut sack he begged from his mother. Over the summer, he gathers 2 sacks. This is his treasure, his future, his 5-year plan. He hides the pouches in a crevice between the rocks by the river, covers them with clay, dries them, doesn't tell anyone. Not yet. He needs someone who will understand, someone who knows plants better than he does, someone who can do what he does, but better, more delicately, and with more patience. He knows who it is. He has seen her. A girl. She is 11. Nalmi's daughter. Her name is Irin. Slender, quiet, serious, with long fingers that are always in the dirt. She doesn't play with the other children. She sits at the edge of the clearing and does something. Hael watches her for 3 days. On the 4th, he understands. She's collecting seeds, grass seeds, different kinds. She piles them into little heaps, sorts them by type. She hides them under her cot. Her mother doesn't know. Or maybe she knows and doesn't approve. Playing with seeds means playing with food. Food is sacred. You don't play with it. But Irin isn't playing. She's studying. She sees in the seeds what others don't see. Just as Hael sees a brick in clay, she sees a harvest in a seed. Hael approaches her on the 5th day. He sits down next to her. He's silent. She looks at him warily. He's small, 4 years younger, a strange boy with pots. He speaks. "Show me what seeds you're hiding under the cot." She flinches, frightened. She looks around. She checks to make sure no one is listening. She asks how he knows. Hael replies that he saw. She is silent. Her face is closed off. She expects him to tell her mother. He says, "I need them. The ears of grain you're gathering. We all need them. Show me." She is silent for a long time. Then she stands up. She leads him to her bed. She lifts the edge of the hide. Under the bed are small bundles made of leaves. 8 bundles. She unwraps one. Seeds. Tiny. Dark. Barley. That very wild barley. She had been gathering it for 2 seasons, in secret. Hael looks at the seeds, then at Irin, then back at the seeds. He smiles. For the first time in 7 years in this world, he smiles like that. Truly, broadly. He has found her. His first ally in a cause more important than pots and stoves. In a cause that will change everything. Agriculture, he tells her. These seeds can be planted. She nods. She knows. She has seen how barley grows. Where a grain fell, a stalk grew the following year. She noticed it herself, without books, without teachers. She noticed because she was watching, because she was curious. Hael continues, if we select the largest grains and plant only those, in a few years the grains will be bigger, the ears will be heavier, the harvest will be more abundant. She listens, her eyes wide open. She understands, immediately, without long explanations, because she had thought about it herself. She just didn't know that someone else thought the same way. He tells her that in the spring they will sow, together, on the southern slope where it's warm and water is close by. A small plot, secret. Secret for now, until there's something to show. She nods. For the first time during the conversation, she smiles. Subtly. Just her lips, but she smiles. Hael stands up and leaves. Her heart is beating fast. Not from nervousness, from joy. He is not alone. For the first time in 7 years, he is truly not alone. There is a person who understands, who doesn't need to be told why to plant seeds, who sees the future in the grain just as he sees the future in clay. Autumn of the 7th year, the tribe is preparing for winter, stockpiling meat, drying berries, repairing shelters, routine. Death, life, the usual cycle. But this year, something has changed. Every family has pots. They cook in the pots. New batches of pottery dry around Hael's stove. Nirok brings firewood for the stove every 3 days without being asked. Tachan has assigned Hael a spot, officially. His stove, his corner of the camp, his right. Small, but his. He is no longer a strange boy. He is a useful boy. A boy with pots. A boy who breathes steam into the faces of the sick. A boy who knows which firewood burns best. They listen to him. Not everyone, not always, but they listen. And Pai Irin goes to the southern slope every morning, alone, quietly, with a little bag of seeds. And Hael knows that next spring, the first sown barley will sprout on that slope, and nothing in this world will ever be the same again. Winter of the 8th year, the second winter with pots, the second winter with a stove, the second winter with hot broth for the elderly and children, and the first winter when no one dies, not a single one. 25 people went into winter, 25 came out of it. Hael sits by the river and counts. Before, they'd lose 2 or 3 people every winter. Now, 0. He's not fooling himself. It's luck. One lucky year doesn't mean he's solved everything. The winter was mild. The hunting wasn't bad. Nirok brought back a deer twice. Not a single serious illness. Just luck. But hot water helped. Pots helped. Cooked food for the children who can't chew tough meat helped. Little things. They add up. Spring. Irina leads him to the southern slope, that very one. They stand and look. Last fall she planted seeds here. She poked holes in the ground with a stick and placed a seed in each, covered them, trampled them down with her foot. Primitive. Without a hoe. No furrow, just a hole and a seed. Out of 100 seeds, 23 sprouted. Thin green shoots are poking out of the dark earth on the southern slope. Hael stands and looks at them. 23 shoots. In a past life, this would have been a failure. A 23% germination rate. Terrible. In this life, it's a miracle. Because each of these sprouts will produce an ear of grain in 3 months. Each ear contains grains. From each grain, another stalk next year. An exponential growth. Slow, but unstoppable. Irin stands nearby. She isn't smiling. She's focused. She's showing him which sprouts are stronger, which are weaker, which are in a good spot, and which are in the shade. She's been watching all winter. She came here secretly, when she could, when the snow wasn't too deep. She checked, she counted, she memorized. She's 11 years old. In her mind, there are no words for what she's doing. No word for agronomy. No word for breeding. No word for yield. But that's exactly that. Hael looks at her and thinks, if she had been born in his world, in Korea, in the 21st century, she would be a professor, a PhD. She understands plants by nature just as he understands materials by nature. He was lucky to find her. He tells her the plan. When these sprouts produce ears of grain, they'll gather every single kernel. They'll select the largest ones. They'll plant them in the fall. They'll double the area. The following year, they'll double it again. In 5 years, they'll have a field, a real field. Irin listens and nods. Then she asks, "What will we tell the others?" Hael thinks, here it is, a problem that cannot be solved with clay and fire. People, the tribe, if they see the field, if they realize that 2 children are growing food from the earth, the reaction is unpredictable. Maybe curiosity, maybe fear. The earth gives what it gives. That's what the tribe believes. That's what Nalmi believes. To force the earth to give more is to insult the spirits. He replies, "We won't say anything yet. When there's something to show, then we'll speak." Irin nods. She's used to secrets. She hid seeds under the bed for 3 years. One more secret is no problem. The summer of the 8th year. Hael is busy with other things. The oven is working. There are dishes. Irin watches over the field. His hands are free. He thinks about the next step. A roof. People sleep under skins stretched over poles. The skins let the wind through. They get wet in the rain. They don't keep the heat in. Every winter it's the same. Cold from below, from the ground. Cold from above, from the wind. People in the middle. He needs a roof, not a skin. A roof. What to make it from? Wood. There are plenty of trees around. Birch, alder, pine. But to make a roof out of wood, you need to saw and chop and trim the wood. No saw, no axe with a handle. The stone chisel the tribe has takes half a day to cut dry wood. It won't cut wet wood at all. So not wood, or not just wood, he thinks. Reed. The river is full of it. Long, strong. Dry reed doesn't rot for years. Tied into bundles, it's impervious to rain. Light enough, you can lay it on poles. A reed roof. It's no revolution. It's a simple thing. But they didn't build one here because why would you need a roof if you move on every 2 seasons? A roof only makes sense if you stay, and the tribe doesn't stay. That's the crux of it. Hael wants the tribe to stop wandering, to settle down forever on this shore, by this river, by this clay. This goes against everything they know. They roam because the game roams. If the game has gone and you haven't followed it, then you starve and die. But if you have grain, if the grain grows in a field that you've sown yourself, then the game can go. You don't need a deer every day. You need a flatbread. And flatbread doesn't run away. He knows this. But the tribe doesn't. Not yet. The barley isn't ripe yet. There are no flatbreads yet. So it's too early to talk about settling down. But a roof can be built right now, not as a statement, as an experiment. He goes to the marsh downstream, alone. He cuts the reeds with a stone knife. It takes a long time. The knife is dull, the reeds are tough. In an hour, he cuts a bundle, a small one. He carries it back to the camp, dries it in the sun for 2 days. Then he takes a pole, one of those that hold the hides over the place where his mother sleeps. He ties the reeds in bundles. He ties them with deer sinew, bundle to bundle, tightly. It forms a strip, 2 paces long, an elbow's width wide. He lays the strip over the pole, like roof tiles, at an angle, so the water runs off. It rains in the evening. His mother lies under her hides and, for the first time in her life, doesn't feel the raindrops. The reeds hold the water. Not perfect. It leaks a little at the seams, but it holds. It doesn't drip on her face. It doesn't wet the skins. It doesn't run down her back. Mother wakes up in the morning and touches the skin. It's dry. She looks up. She sees the strip of reeds on the pole. She looks at her son. She says nothing. She goes out. In the evening, she brings him a double portion of berries. Hael eats the berries and thinks. There's enough reed on the river for 20 such roofs. But he needs hands. Narak is busy hunting. His mother is busy gathering provisions. Irin is busy in the fields. He needs someone else. He finds her. He isn't looking for her on purpose. He just notices her. A girl, his age, 7 years old. Her name is Sora, the daughter of a hunter who died 3 winters ago from a festering wound. That very man, the one Hael remembers by his face and by the face of his wife, who didn't cry. Sora isn't like the other girls in the tribe. She doesn't sit by the fire. She doesn't help her mother scrape the hides. She goes into the dot alone, with a small bow she made herself from a branch. She shoots at trees, at rocks, at birds. Sometimes she hits her mark. She is 7, and she is already a hunter. Not because she wants to, because her father is dead, because her younger brother is small, because her mother can barely stand from exhaustion. Sora feeds the family, at 7 years old. Hael approaches her as she sits on the shore, the bowstring. He sits down next to her. He is silent. She looks at him. She knows who he is. The boy with the pots. The boy who saved Nirak. She is silent too. 2 silent children on the riverbank. Hael speaks first. He needs help. Reeds. Cut. Bring. Tie. A lot. He can't do it alone. She asks why. He says, a roof. For everyone. So the rain doesn't pour on our heads. So the snow doesn't fall in winter. She is silent. She thinks. Then she says, and what will she get? Hael isn't surprised. A direct question. Honest. She's 7. She already knows that nothing comes for free. She feeds her family and knows the value of every effort. He answers, a pot. A big one. For her mother. And a bow. He'll make her a bow. A real one. Better than the one she made from a branch. She looks at him for a long time. Then she nods. The next day, the 2 of them go to the marsh together. Sora cuts the reeds 3 times faster than he does. Her hands are stronger. Her movements are more confident. She doesn't get tired. He gets tired after an hour. He sits down. He breathes. He wheezes. She doesn't stop. She doesn't wait. She cuts. In one day, she cut as much reed as he did in a week. In the evening, she stands in front of a pile of reeds taller than she is and looks at Hael with an expression he doesn't immediately understand. Then he understands. Respect. Not for him, for his idea. She sees the pile of reeds and already understands that it will become a roof. She understands because he showed her a single, small strip on a pole, and she filled in the rest in her mind. She is 7. She has no words for this, but she understands. Over the next 2 weeks, they cover 3 shelters with reeds. His mother's, the Nirak family's, the Tachin family's. The reeds are tied in bundles to the poles, sloped so the water runs off. Animal hides still on the bottom, but reeds on top. Double protection. Tachin lies down to sleep on the first night under the thatched roof and wakes up in the morning with a face that Hael will remember forever. The face of a man who for the first time in his life slept through the night without a drop of water on his face, without an icy wind in his ear, without snow on his skin. Tachin stands there, not knowing what to say. He is 30 years old. He is a chieftain. All his life he has slept on the ground under wet skins and considered it normal. He didn't know it could be any other way. Now he knows. He silently places a fresh fish in front of Hael, a big one, caught that morning, the very best. And he leaves. Nirok does the same. He places the fish and leaves. Tokon's wife brings a piece of dried meat. Nirok's wife brings a handful of berries. Hael sits in front of a pile of food, more than he can eat, more than he needs. He gives some to the children. He gives some to his mother. He takes some to Irin. Irin takes the berries and asks what they're for. Hael says, for the roof. Irin nods. Then she says quietly, the barley has produced ears. Hael freezes. Ears? Already? They head for the southern slope. Irin leads the way. Hael follows her. The field is small, 23 stalks. No, 19. 4 died over the summer, withered, or rotted, or the birds pecked them. 19 stalks, and on each one an ear. Small, with grains smaller than in his past life, but an ear. Hael stands and watches. He cannot speak. His throat tightens. 19 stalks of barley, the first sowing, the first harvest, the first proof that it is possible. Irin stands beside him, quiet, serious. She doesn't understand why the boy's hands are shaking. To her, it's just barley. She always knew it would grow. She saw it grow wild. The planted ones grow the same way. What's the big deal? Hael pulls himself together. He speaks. Gather them, every single grain. Don't lose a single one. In the fall, we'll sow 5 times as much. She nods. She's already gathering. Long, slender fingers, neat, quick. Each ear in a separate bundle. Every grain counted. Hael looks at her and thinks. Without her, there would be no barley. He knew what to do, but she knew how. The difference is huge. The fall of the 8th year. Irin sows the seeds. Now the area is 5 times larger. Not on the southern slope, lower down, by the river, where the soil is blacker and the water closer. Hael helps. He digs shallow furrows with a stick, the first furrows in the history of this world. Crooked, shallow, but furrows nonetheless. Irin places the seeds, covers them with soil, tamps them down with her foot. They work in silence. 2 children on their knees in the mud. One is 7, the other is 11. They don't know they're making history. They're just planting seeds. Meanwhile, Hael is thinking about something else. A roof is good, pots are good, but that's not enough. He needs a house, a real one, with a foundation, with walls, with a floor, with a hearth inside and a chimney through the roof. A house where you can survive the winter without lying on the frozen ground. A house needs bricks. Lots of bricks. Hundreds. For hundreds of bricks, you need a bigger kiln. To build a bigger kiln, you need hands. Lots of hands. But for now, he only has Nirak. Just Nirak. He needs more people. He thinks about how to attract them, and he realizes he's already attracted them. Not with words, things. Pots, roofs, hot water. Everything is a thread. Every thread ties a person down, not with a rope, with gratitude, with comfort, habit. A person who has drunk hot water in winter no longer wants to live without hot water. A person who has slept under a dry roof no longer wants to sleep under a wet hide. They are bound, not to him, to the better life he has shown them. And if he says he needs help for the next step, they will help, because they want to live better. This isn't manipulation, it's an exchange. Honest, open. You give me your hands, I give you a home. Winter of the 9th year, the 3rd winter with the pots, the 3rd winter without losses. No, 1 loss. An old woman. She was over 40. She died quietly in her sleep. Not from illness, from old age. 40 years old here is old age. Her body simply stopped. Hael couldn't save her. No one could. But it's not winter. It's age. The rest are alive. 24 people. In the 5 winters since he began his work, the tribe has lost 1 person to old age. Before, they lost 5 in the same time. Arithmetic. Simple. Cruel. 5 lives he saved. Not him, the clay saved them. The fire, hot water saved them. In the spring of the 9th year, Hael begins to build the first house. Not for himself, for all the children and the elderly, long, shared. He chooses a spot, level, dry, slightly above the shore, so it won't flood during the spring rise. He draws on the ground with a stick, a rectangle, 10 paces long, 5 wide. Large by local standards. Tochon comes and looks at the drawing, asks what it is. Hael answers, a house. Made of stones he shapes from mud. Walls, a roof, a hearth inside. Warm, dry. No wind, no rain, no cold from the ground. Tokon is silent for a long time. Then he asks, why? They have skins. They have poles. They can set up a shelter in half a day. Why walls made of stones that can't be moved? Hael looks at the chief. Here it is, the moment, the main conversation. He speaks softly. Because we can stay. Tokon doesn't understand. Stay where? Here, for good. Not to follow the deer. Not to take down and set up camp again. To stay on this shore and live. Tokon looks at him as if he were sick. You can't live without deer. You can't live without meat. If the deer leave, the tribe will die. Hael nods. You can't live without meat, but you can live without deer. Tokon frowns. How? Hael is silent for a second. Then he speaks. I'll show you soon. Tokon stands there for another minute. Then he leaves. Not angry, not convinced. Puzzled. Hael breathes. He said too much, or too little. He doesn't know. But he said it, for the first time out loud. We can stay. Now he has to prove it. Spring of the 9th year. Hael is building. In the morning, before dawn, he goes to the river. He digs up clay, carries it to the construction site, kneads it, shapes bricks. Each brick is the size of 2 fists, flat on top, flat on the bottom. He made a mold. 4 sticks tied into a frame. You put the clay inside, you tamp it down, you remove the frame. A brick, identical, the same every time. Nirak saw the mold and froze. He stood and watched. Then he picked it up. He tried it. It worked. It worked on the first try. Because the mold does the work for you. No need for an eye for proportion, no need for experience. All you need are hands and clay. Nirak showed his wife. His wife showed her sister. By the end of the first day, 3 people are molding bricks. By the end of the week, 5. Hael stands to the side and watches. 5 people are making bricks without him. He showed it once. They repeat it. The knowledge has been passed on. It multiplies. It lives on its own. That's more important than any brick. Drying. 2 weeks in the sun. Then firing in the kiln. In batches, 20 at a time. The kiln is small. It can't hold anymore. A bigger kiln is needed. Hael builds a second one, larger than the first, twice as big, with 2 chimneys, with a loading window through which bricks can be placed and removed without dismantling the wall. Nirak helps. They build the second kiln from bricks fired in the first. Bricks for the kiln that makes bricks. Recursion, a closed cycle. The second kiln fires 40 bricks at a time, twice as many. Hael does the math. For a house 10 paces long and 5 paces wide, he needs about 800 bricks. At 40 per load, that's 20 loads. At 1 load every 2 days, that's 40 days. More than a month just for the bricks. Plus the foundation, plus the masonry, plus the roof, plus the hearth. 3 months, the whole summer. He might not finish before winter. Tochon comes and asks how many people he needs. Hael didn't expect this. The chief is offering people himself. Hael answers, 5, full-time. Tochon nods. The next morning, standing in front of the construction site are Nirak, 2 young hunters, Nirak's wife, and Hael's mother. 5 people, a full crew. Hael assigns the tasks. 2 dig for clay and carry it. 1 shapes the clay. 1 loads the kiln and tends the fire. 1 lays the foundation. Hael himself sketches, explains, and checks. Division of labor. 6 people, 6 tasks. Everyone does their part. No one does everything. This is unusual. Hunters are used to one person doing everything from start to finish. He tracks it down himself. He kills it himself. He butchers it himself. He brings it back himself. But here, you dig clay and that's it. Just clay. All day long. It's strange. On the 3rd day, one of the young hunters asks why he has to carry dirt all day. He's a hunter. He can get meat. Why does he need dirt? Hael walks up to him. He says, "A wall will grow from this mud. Behind the wall, it will be warm in winter. Behind the wall, your wife will give birth to a child and won't freeze. Behind the wall, your mother won't cough at night. You're not carrying mud. You're carrying their lives." The hunter is silent. Then he takes the basket of clay and walks away. He doesn't ask any more questions. The foundation. Hael digs a trench around the perimeter, elbow deep, 2 fists wide. He fills it with large stones from the river, clay between the stones. He tamps it down, a stone and clay cushion. Not concrete, not mortar, but better than nothing. He lays the first row of bricks on the foundation. The clay between them acts as mortar. Row by row, the wall rises, slowly. 3 rows a day, no more. The wet clay between the bricks must dry before laying the next row. Otherwise, the wall will warp. Otherwise, it will collapse. He knows this. They don't know. They want it faster. He explains, the wall needs to rest. Like a hunter after a chase, if you don't let it rest, it will fall. They understand. Through the analogy, through hunting, through the body. Everything here is through the body. June. Walls up to his waist. 4 walls. A rectangle. Empty inside. Bricks on the outside. Red. Rough. Uneven, but standing. Hael steps inside, stands in the center. The walls reach his chest. He's a 7-year-old boy, but the walls are already taller than any man-made structure he's ever seen in this world. He places his palm on the brick, warm from the sun, rough, real. He stands and breathes. This will be a home, the first home. Not his, theirs. Shared. For everyone who needs it. For children who cough at night. For old people whose joints ache from the cold ground. For mothers who give birth on the bare earth under animal skins. This home will change everything. Because once a person sees that it's possible to live in a house, they'll no longer want to live without one. And once they don't want to live without a house, they won't want to leave. And when they don't want to leave, they'll stay. And when they stay, another story will begin. Tochon comes every day. He watches. He doesn't help. The chief doesn't work with his hands, but he watches. and Hael sees how his face changes, how distrust gives way to something else. Not faith, not yet faith. Interest. Tahan begins to see, not a wall, a possibility. Nalmi comes too, every third day. She stands at a distance. She watches. She doesn't approach. She doesn't touch. Hael feels her gaze like a chill down his spine. She doesn't interfere, but she doesn't help either. She waits. She waits for him to make a mistake. Or for him to be right. She hasn't decided yet which is scarier. And July. Walls as tall as an adult. A doorway. One. Facing south, so the north wind doesn't blow inside. Hael leaves windows. 2. Small ones. Facing east and west. Morning sun and evening sun. Light inside during the day, not darkness. The windows can be covered with woven reed screens, closed in winter, opened in summer. Ventilation. The tribe looks at the windows and doesn't understand. Why are there holes in the wall? Hael explains, so the air can circulate, so the smoke can escape, so the light can come in. 3 reasons, 3 holes. They shake their heads. Holes in the wall are a weakness. A beast will crawl through a hole. An enemy will enter through a hole. Hael says that a reed screen won't let a beast in, and the wall won't let an enemy in, the one that surrounds us. They are silent. They don't believe it, but they don't argue, because the pots work, the roof works. Maybe the windows will work too. August, the roof, the most difficult part. Hael has no long logs, no saw, no nails. He has poles, thin ones, crooked ones, 4 paces long at most, and the house is 5 paces wide. The pole won't reach. He thinks for 3 days. Then he finds a solution. A central support post, 1 thick post, dug into the ground in the middle of the house. From the pole, the poles radiate out toward the walls, like ribs from a spine. Each pole rests with one end against the pole and the other against the wall. On top of the poles is reed, a thick layer, tied in bundles. The roof isn't flat, it's gabled, sloping on both sides. Water runs off, snow slides down. It's dry inside. He explains to Nirok. Nirok chops the pole. Half a day for a single tree with a stone axe. Hard. Long. But Nirok doesn't complain. He sees the walls. He wants to see the roof. They dig the post into the ground. They lay the poles. They weave the reeds. The women help. Everyone. Even those who didn't work on the construction site. Because a roof is something everyone understands. A roof is when it doesn't drip from above. They already know that. The 3 small roofs on their shelters proved it. Now a big roof for a big house. Late August. The hearth. Hael builds it in the center of the house, right next to the support post. Round, made of bricks, with a rim so the coals don't scatter, and a chimney. Here he thinks for a long time. A chimney through the roof. A thatched roof. Reed burns. If the chimney touches the reed, the roof will catch fire, so the chimney must be separated from the reed. He makes a pipe out of clay rings. Each ring is fired, sturdy. He stacks them one on top of the other from the hearth to the hole in the roof. There's a gap the width of a palm between the pipe and the thatch. He fills the gap with wet clay, which will dry and become insulation. Not perfect, but sufficient. The smoke goes up through the pipe and out. Not inside the house, not to the sides, up. September. The floor. Bare earth means death in winter. The cold comes from below, through the bones, through the muscles, through sleep. A person on cold earth does not rest. He survives. Hael cannot make a wooden floor. There are no planks, no saw. But he can make something else. He covers the floor with packed clay, even, smooth. On top of the clay, he lays reed mats. On top of the mats, dry straw. On top of the straw, Hides. 4 layers between a person and the frozen ground. Clay, reed, straw, skins. It's not a bed. It's a sleeping platform. But a sleeping platform that's warm, where the cold doesn't seep up from below, where you can sleep without waking up from numbness in your legs. Late September. The house is ready. Hael stands outside and looks. A long, squat rectangle of red bricks. A thatched roof with 2 slopes. A chimney from which a thin wisp of smoke rises. A doorway draped with a hide. 2 windows covered with reed screens, ugly, crooked, small by the standards of his past life, but real. The first house on this shore. The first house in the history of this world. Built by human hands from materials they made themselves. Tokon enters first. He stands inside for a long time. He touches the walls. He looks at the hearth, at the chimney, at the reeds on the ceiling. Then he comes out. He says one word. Warm. In the evening, the children bring in the skins. The elders bring in their sleeping mats. 7 children and 4 elders. 11 people. They lie down, on reed mats, on straw, on skins. The hearth is burning. Quiet. Steady. Smoke rises up the chimney. It's warm inside. Dry. Quiet. Hael stands outside. An October night. Cold. A wind from the north. The first frost on the grass. He stands and listens. Silence. That is what he hears. Silence. No coughing. Every night for the past 7 years he has heard coughing. A chorus of coughs. Children's. An old man's. Wet. Hoarse. Ragged. Every night. Today there is silence. The children are asleep and not coughing. Because they aren't breathing in smoke. Because they aren't lying on the frozen ground. Because the walls keep out the wind. Because the roof keeps out the sky. Because it's warm. Hael sits on the ground right in front of the house. He leans his back against the wall. The bricks are warm from the hearth inside. Warm. He presses his back against them and feels the warmth. And he cries. Quietly. Silently. Tears stream down his face and he doesn't wipe them away. He is 7 years old on the outside, 34 on the inside. He is an engineer. He is a technologist. He built a house out of mud and sticks for 11 people on the riverbank in a world without metal or wheels. And it is quiet in this house now. And that is worth everything. Everything he has lost. Everything he remembers. His entire past life with blueprints and machines and the smell of wet asphalt. All of that is worth 1 night of silence. He wipes his face with his sleeve. He stands up. He goes to his place. He lies down next to his mother under the fir. They still live the old way, under poles and reeds, not in a house. A house is for children and the elderly, for those who need it more. His mother silently hugs him. She doesn't know he's crying. Or maybe she knows and stays silent. Here, they stay silent. He falls asleep. In the morning, Sora wakes him. She stands over him, serious. She speaks briefly. People from the river, strangers. Hael jumps up, runs to the shore. There is Tokon, Nirak, 2 hunters with spears. Everyone is looking at the river. Boats on the river. 3 dugout canoes made from a single log. 4 or 5 people in each. They are moving along the shore. Slowly. They look at the camp, at the walls of the house, at the stove, at the smoke from the chimney. Tokon stands with a spear and waits. The boats pull up. People get out. 12 people, men and women, dressed in skins, but different skins. Fish skins, not deer, a different kind, a different tribe. One of them steps forward, the elder, with a long scar across his left eye. He speaks. They are the reed people, from downstream. They were traveling upriver. They saw the smoke and the walls and came to look. Tokon stands tense. The reed people. He knows about them. Everyone knows. Fishermen, riverfolk, not enemies, but not friends either. 20 winters ago, there was a conflict over a fishing spot. They haven't spoken since. The elder of the reed people isn't looking at Tokon. He's looking at the house, at the brick walls, at the thatched roof, at the smoke from the chimney. His eyes are wide open. He has never seen a house. He lives in a reed hut that falls apart every spring during the flood. He asks, "What is this?" Tohon doesn't answer. He doesn't know how to explain. He turns and looks at Hael. The boy stands behind the hunters, small, skinny, with a wheeze in his chest from the morning cold. But his eyes are clear, calm. He sees the reed people and sees no threat. Hael steps forward. Tohon grabs him by the shoulder, squeezes, won't let him go. Hael turns and says quietly, "Let me talk." Tohon looks down at him. A 7-year-old boy is asking the chief to let him go to the strangers. Nonsense. But Tohon saw that this boy builds walls out of mud, that his pots cook food, that his chimney cleared the coughs from the nights. He loosens his grip. Hael walks toward the reed people's elder. The elder looks at the boy and doesn't understand. He was waiting for the chief. A child has come. Hael speaks. This is a house. It is made of clay. Children and the elderly spend the winter in it. It is warm and dry inside. The Kamashov elder is silent. Then he asks, "How does the clay stand and not fall?" Hael picks up a brick from the ground from a pile of batch. He demonstrates. The clay is fired in a kiln. It turns into stone. The stones are stacked on top of each other. Wet clay is placed between them. It dries. It holds. A wall. Kamashovi takes a brick. He turns it over. He taps it with his knuckle. He hears a ringing sound. He looks at the boy, then at Hana, then back at the boy. He speaks. They have fish. Lots of fish. They catch them with nets made of reed fibers, the best nets in all of Nungari. But in winter, they have no containers to store the fat. The fat goes rancid. The meat spoils. They starve every third winter. Hael listens. He thinks. The reed people have what his tribe lacks. Fish, nets, knowledge of the river, boats. His tribe has what the reed people lack. Pots, an oven, a house, bricks, trade. The first exchange between the tribes, not based on fear, but on mutual benefit. Hael speaks slowly. He will give them pots, 10 pots, large ones, with lids. They can store fat in them all winter. The fat won't go rancid. In exchange, he asks for fish, dried fish, as much as will fit in one of their boats. The Kamashov elder looks at him for a long time. Then he turns to his people. They whisper. A minute, 2. Then the elder turns back, nods. Fish for pots. Hael holds out his hand. Reed looks at the outstretched hand and doesn't understand the gesture. They don't shake hands here. Hael lowers his hand. He speaks. Let your women stay until tomorrow. He'll show them the pots. They'll choose. Tokon stands behind him and says nothing. His face. Hael sees it out of the corner of his eye. The chief doesn't know what he's feeling. The boy has just negotiated with a foreign tribe. The boy has just concluded his first trade deal on the banks of the Nungari. The boy is 7 years old. The reed people stay until morning. They spend the night on the shore by their boats. They have a separate campfire. Strangers, after all. But in the morning, two reed women come to Hael's hearth and look at the pots. They touch them, tap them, peek inside. One of them picks up a large pot and sniffs it. Clay, fired, odorless. She sets the pot on the ground and looks at Hael. She says something in her dialect. The elder translates. She asks if it's possible to cook fish soup in this pot. Hael nods. Yes. She smiles. The first smile from a foreign tribe directed at him. By lunchtime, the boats head down the river. In one of them are 10 pots lined with grass. The other is empty. In 3 days, she will return. With fish. Hael stands on the bank and watches the boats leave. Sora is beside him. She is silent. Then she speaks. The Kamyshovs saw the house. They'll tell the others. Hael nods. He knows. That's exactly what he's counting on. The word will travel down the river, down to the mouth, up to the rapids. The tribe that lives in a stone house. The tribe that has dishes. The tribe you can trade with. Some will come to trade. Others will come to plunder. You have to be ready for both. 3 days later, the boat returns. It's full of fish, dried, smoked, a lot. Hael has never seen so much fish at once. The women of the tribe unload and count it. Enough to last a month. A whole month's worth of food. No hunting. No risk. No empty returns. Tachan stands and looks at the fish, then at Hael, then at the house, then back at the fish. He begins to understand. Not everything, not right away, but he begins to. Pots aren't pots. Pots are fish. A house isn't a house. A house is safety. Clay isn't dirt. Clay is life. In the evening, Tachan sits down next to Hael by the fire. He is silent for a long time. Then he speaks. Tell me about staying. Hael looks at him. The chief has returned to the conversation. He has returned on his own. Hael speaks. He speaks slowly, in simple words, short ones. The beast is leaving, further away with each passing year. They know this. Their grandfathers used to hunt deer for a day. They hunt for 3. Their children will hunt for 5. The beast is leaving because the world is getting warmer. The ice is melting. The grass is growing where it didn't used to. The deer follow the grass. If you follow the deer, you'll walk until the end of your life. If you stop. If we make it so that food grows here, under our feet, on this shore, then we won't need the deer. Tachan listens. His face is dark, tense. He's no fool. He understands that the boy is telling the truth about the deer. They're leaving. Everyone sees it. But food from the earth? That's beyond the pale. He asks, how? Hael stands up, says, let's go. They walk toward the southern slope. Irin is already there, waiting. Hael warned her. She stands in the middle of her secret field. It is no longer secret. 50 stalks of barley, tall, with heavy ears, the second harvest, twice as much as the first. The grains are larger. The selection is working. Tachan stands and watches. He knows this grass, wild barley, bird food, rodent fodder, not food for humans. Hael takes an ear of barley. He threshes out the grains. He places them on a flat stone. He takes another stone, grinds it. Flour, coarse, gray, with husks, but flour. He scoops some into his palm, shows it to Tachan, says, you can bake flatbreads from this, with water and fat, on a hot stone. Food, from the earth, every year, without hunting, no risk. You reap what you sow. Tachan takes a pinch of flour, rubs it between his fingers, sniffs it, tastes it on his tongue, grimaces. Bitter. Raw flour is tasteless. But he tries it. That's already a lot. He didn't refuse, didn't turn away, didn't say, "This is food for deer, not people." He tried it. Hael continues speaking. In 3 years, they'll have a field 100 times larger. In 5, 1,000 times larger. Grain can be stored in pots for a year or more. Grain doesn't rot. It doesn't run away. It doesn't hide in the forest. Grain waits to be eaten. Takon stands there for a long time. He looks at the field, at the 50 stalks, at Irin who stands quietly and waits, at the boy who has just shown him the future. Then he says one word. "All right," and he leaves. Hael stands and breathes. His hands are shaking. He has just received the chief's permission. Not for a house, not for pots, for the future. Tochan said all right. That doesn't mean he believed it. It means he allowed it. For now. For now, there is meat and fish. For now, grain is a supplement, not a substitute. For now, the boy is useful. But this is the first step. Irin turns to Hael. She speaks softly. "He won't get in the way." Hael nods. Yes, he won't. Autumn of the 9th year. Irin is sowing for the 3rd time. The area has tripled. Hael made her a hoe, a flat stone tied to a stick. Rough, awkward. But it loosens the soil, and that's better than poking with a stick. Irin works in the field every day, morning and evening. During the day, she helps her mother. Nalmi doesn't know about the field. Or maybe she does and is keeping quiet. Hael isn't sure. The shaman sees a lot. Winter of the 10th year. He is 8, the 4th winter without losses. But this winter is different. It's not just children and the elderly living in the house now. Tochan moved his bed into the house, then Nirok, then the rest. By midwinter, the whole clan is sleeping in one house, 24 people under one roof. It's cramped, but warm. The hearth burns all night. The chimney works. The walls keep out the wind. The reeds keep out the snow. People sleep and don't cough. Hael lies by the wall and listens to the silence. The 2nd winter in the house. The 2nd winter of silence at night. He's getting used to it. No, he isn't getting used to it. He remembers every night, because every quiet night is life continuing. A child who didn't get sick. An old man who didn't freeze. A mother who carried her child to term. Spring, the 10th year. He is 8 years old. Irin's field yields its 3rd harvest. 140 stalks. The grains are large, the largest in 3 years of selection. Irin is beaming. She beams in silence. She is not one to speak of joy. She is one who shows the result and waits for you to see it yourself. Hael sees. He takes the grains, grinds them on a stone. Flour. He mixes it with water and fat. He shapes a flatbread. Flat. Small. He places it on the hot stone by the hearth. The smell of baked bread. The first smell of baked bread in the history of this world. The flatbread browns. Hael takes it off, breaks it in half, gives half to Irin. She takes it, takes a bite, chews, her face. Hael memorizes that face. She doesn't know what bread is. She has never eaten anything like this. Soft, warm, with a hint of grain and fat. Not meat, not roots. Something new. She finishes chewing and says, "More." Hael laughs. For the first time in a long while, he laughs out loud. There will be more. Lots of it. He takes the 2nd flatbread to Tohan. The chief takes it. He takes a bite, chews slowly, swallows, is silent, then asks, "It's made from grass?" Hael nods. "From grain that grew in the field." Tohan takes another bite, chews, is silent, then says, "We can feed everyone. No problem." A statement. Tohan said, "We can feed everyone." He understood. In a single flatbread, he saw what Hael had been explaining with words for half a year. Food from the earth, no hunting, no deer, no risk. The chief stands up. He leaves. In the evening, he gathers the council, all the adults, by the hearth in the house. Tohan speaks. The boy has grown food from the earth. He shows the broken flatbread. He passes it around. Everyone breaks off a piece. They taste it. Reactions vary. Some chew in silence. Some grimace at the unfamiliar taste. Some ask for more. Nalmi takes it last, a small piece. She puts it in her mouth. She chews with her eyes closed. Then she opens them. She looks at Hael. Her face is inscrutable. Tachan speaks. The boy suggests staying, not going after the beast, staying here, growing grain, trading pots for fish, to live in a house. Silence. A long silence. Then voices begin, all at once. One hunter says that without the deer, they will cease to be human. Another says that the deer is leaving and will not return. A woman says that in the house, the children do not get sick. Another says that the spirits will punish them if they turn away from the path of the ancestors. Nalmi is silent. Everyone is waiting for her to speak. She is the last one who needs to speak, because her word is the word of the spirits. Nalmi stands up. Everyone falls silent. She speaks slowly. The spirits sent the boy. She believes this. The spirits do not send a gift to be refused. She does not object to staying, but she has one condition. Every new planting must begin with an offering to the earth spirits. Every oven must be blessed, every house consecrated. Hael stands in the corner and listens, his heart beating. Nalmi doesn't mind. Nalmi has just agreed, on her own terms, but she has agreed. He nods, an offering to the spirits, a blessing, a consecration, a ritual, a wrapper. He gives her the wrapper and receives the contents. Tohan looks at Nalmi, then at Hael, then at the tribe. He speaks. We stay. Night. Hael lies down and stares into the darkness. They are staying. For the first time in generations, this tribe will not move on when the deer leave. They will remain on this shore, by this river, by this clay, and that changes everything. Spring of the 11th year. He is 9. The field has grown. Irin has planted a plot 20 times larger than the first. 5 women are helping her. Nalmi herself performed the ritual before sowing. She stood at the edge of the field, threw a handful of ashes into the wind, and spoke the words meant to appease the spirits of the earth. Irin stood nearby and waited. When the ritual ended, she silently dropped to her knees and began planting. Her fingers in the earth, her world. Hael watched from afar. He doesn't interfere with Irin in the field. This is her territory. He gave her the knowledge, she gave him the result. Everyone does their part. Hael is busy with something else. He needs a bow. Not that crooked little bow made from a branch that Sora runs around the forest with. A real one, with the right curve, with a bowstring that doesn't snap after the 10th shot, with arrowheads that sink into the flesh and don't bounce off the hide. He promised Sora a bow. It's time. He goes into the forest and spends 3 days looking for the right tree. Yew. There's no yew at this latitude. Ash. There is ash. A young ash tree with a straight trunk and dense wood. He asks Nirak to cut it down. Nirak cuts it down with a stone axe, half a day. Hael takes the log, a long one, 1.5 times his height. He whittles it down with a scraper, slowly. The stone scraper removes thin shavings. For 10 days he shapes and polishes it. His shoulders ache, his fingers are calloused. But he knows the shape. He knows what the curve should be. He knows that the bow's back must follow the growth rings. He knows the middle is thicker and the ends are thinner. The bowstring, deer tendons, twisted into a cord. Nirak shows him how to twist them. He's a hunter. He knows how. Hael twists them himself. His fingers are weak. The tendon is slippery. 3 attempts. On the 4th, it works. The bowstring is even, taut. It rings if you snap it. He pulls it back on the bow. The wood bends, smoothly, evenly, without a crack. A good curve, just right. Arrowheads, flint. He doesn't know how to chip flint. It's delicate work, precision work. Nirak knows how. Hael shows the shape. Nirak chips. 3 arrowheads, narrow, long, with notches so they don't slip back out. Hael ties the arrowheads to the shafts with sinew. The arrows are straight, fletched. He knows why they're fletched. They don't know that here. Here they shoot sticks with a stone on the end, without fletching. The arrows fly crooked, not far. His arrows fly straight. He calls for Sora. She comes. She stands. She looks at the bow in his hands. Her eyes. Hael sees them widen. She understands what this is. She is a hunter. She is the daughter of a hunter. She knows a bow like the back of her hand. And she sees that this bow is different. Longer, straighter, with a string that's drawn just right, with a curve she's never seen before. He holds it out to her. She takes it. Slowly, as one would take a living creature. She grips the handle, pulls the string, feels the power. This bow shoots 3 times farther than her old one. She knows this without trying it. By the tension, by the sound, by the way the wood springs under her fingers. She looks at Hael, for a long time, silently. Then she takes an arrow, a fletched one. She turns it over, touches the feather, knocks it onto the string, pulls, aims at the tree at the edge of the clearing. Let's go. The arrow flies off with a sound she has never heard before. Clear, whistling. It enters the trunk 20 paces farther than she is used to hitting. Deep, right up to the feathers. Sora stands. She looks at the tree. Then she turns to Hael. She says nothing. She doesn't need to. Her face speaks. This boy has just placed in her hands a power she didn't have. Not muscle, not agility, accuracy, range, lethality. She can feed her family twice as well. She can defend the tribe 3 times as far. All because one skinny boy spent 10 days scraping a stick with a scraper and knew what shape the curve should be. She turns and walks into the forest with the new bow. She returns by evening, 2 rabbits, a pheasant. She places the catch before Hael, not before her mother, before him. It is payment. It is more than payment. It is an oath. From this day on, Sora stands behind him, always. When he works by the hearth, when he goes to the river, when he sits in council. She stands at a distance, with her bow, silently. No one asked, no one ordered it. She decided on her own. The summer of the 11th year. The tribe is growing. Not in numbers yet, in skill. Nirak is building a second house, by himself, without Hael. Hael showed him once. Nirak remembered. The foundation, the bricks, the masonry, the chimney, the roof. The second house is smaller than the first, but it stands. The walls are straighter. Nirak has learned. 2 women are building the third house, Nirak's wife and her sister. Hael stops by to check every 3 days. He makes corrections, where it's crooked, where it's too thin, where the chimney is too narrow. But they do it themselves. 4 houses by fall, 4 houses on the banks of the Nungari. The camp is no longer just a camp, it's already a village. Small, crooked, 4 brick boxes with thatched roofs standing in a semicircle facing the river. But a village. The reed-roofed boats come again, not 12, 20, with 3 boats of fish. They ask for pots, and not only that, the elder points to the house, says his people want one too. Hael thinks, then he speaks. Send 10 men to the moon. He will teach them to make bricks. They will return and build them themselves. In exchange, fish every moon. The reed elder thinks for a long time. Then he nods. A week later, 10 of the reeds are standing by Hael's kiln. He teaches, he demonstrates. Clay, sand, molding, drying, firing, laying, mortar. They learn. It's hard, slowly. Their hands aren't used to it. Their eyes can't see. But they learn. Hael is patient. He explains the same thing 5 times. 10, 20, until it sinks in. Until their hands remember. After a moon, they leave. In the boats, bricks, molds, knowledge. Hael stands on the bank and watches. Knowledge flows down the river. It lives on its own. It multiplies. It grows. After 3 moons, news comes from the Kamashovs. They have built a house. The first house on the lower reaches of the Nungari. Crooked, small, with a crack in the wall, but it stands. Hael hears this and sits down on the ground. He sits for a long time, in silence. He has just changed not 1 tribe, 2. Autumn of the 11th year. Others arrive, the Owl clan, forest hunters from the West Bank. They've heard about the stone houses on the Nungari. They've come to see. 25 people. A chief is with them. Young, cautious. He looks at the walls and says nothing. Takan welcomes them, feeds them. Boiled meat in pots, flatbread, hot broth. The owls eat and can't believe it. They've never eaten boiled food, never tasted bread. All their lives they've roasted meat on a stick and gnawed on roots. The owl chief sits by the hearth in the house and says nothing. He touches the walls. They're warm. He looks at the chimney. The smoke rises upward, not in his face, not in his eyes. Upward. He turns to Takan. He speaks. His people want to live nearby, here, on this shore, if possible. Takan looks at Hael. Hael nods. Takan speaks. It is possible, if the owls accept the rules. A common council, a common market, working together in the fields when needed. The owls agree. By the winter of the 11th year, 2 clans live on the shore of Nungari. 50 people, 6 houses, 2 fields, 1 oven. No, 2 ovens. The owls built their own, under Hael's supervision. He didn't build it. He stood nearby and told them where to put things. 10 years. He is 10. The field yields its 4th harvest. Irin beams silently. There's enough grain for flatbread for everyone. Not every day, but every other day. Bread every other day. Meat every other day. It alternates. Variety. The children are growing faster. He sees it. The children who eat bread and boiled meat are taller than those who ate only roasted and raw meat. Their bones are stronger. Their teeth are better. And their eyes are clearer. Little things, imperceptible over a year, noticeable over 3. Hael counts the people, 52. Not 31 like 3 years ago, 52. Growth thanks to the owls, but also births. 3 children in the last year, all alive, all healthy. Before, 1 out of 3 survived. Now, all 3. Because they give birth on clean straw, not on frozen ground. Because the water is boiled. Because the mother eats bread and broth, not raw sinew. Nalmi delivers the babies. She always has. But now she has hot water in a pot and clean cloth. Cloth. Hael made the first cloth. No, not cloth. Rough burlap made from bast. Bast. Linden bark soaked and beaten and combed and woven. He knows the process. In theory. In practice, it took 2 months and 14 attempts. The first 13 fell apart. The 14th cloth holds. Rough. Stiff. It tears if you pull too hard, but you can wrap a wound, you can cover food, you can wrap a child in it. Nalmi takes the cloth in her hands. She crumples it. She feels it. Then she soaks it in hot water with herbs. She wrings it out. She applies it to the wound on the hunter's arm. Clean, hot cloth with herbs. A bandage. The first bandage in the history of Irin. The hunter winces. Then he relaxes. Warm. Tight. It doesn't slip. The wound beneath the cloth, protected. Healed in a week. No pus. No fever. No death. Nalmi stands and looks at Hael. He stands and looks at her. Between them lie 3 years of silence and mistrust and cautious words and a slow coming together. She takes a step, approaches, speaks softly, only to him. Your herbs work better in hot water. Why? Hael answers. I don't know. You know more about herbs than I do. Let's test it together. A lie. He knows. Heat kills bacteria. Hot herbal extracts are more effective than cold ones. But he can't explain it. And he shouldn't have to. He must give her a roll, not take it away. Give it. Nalmi is silent. Then she nods. From that day on, they work together. Hael makes the tools. Nalmi tests the recipes. Hot decoctions, hot poultices, hot rinses. Every time better than the cold ones. Every time faster. Nalmi won't admit it out loud, but she uses them. And because of this, the children live. Autumn. Hael does what he's been planning for a long time. A bridge. No, not a bridge. It's too early for a bridge. A crossing. Across the small tributary of the Nungari. A little river 10 paces wide. Deep, with a fast current. You can't cross it in winter, waist deep in summer. On the other bank is a forest with nuts. The women take a detour, 2 hours there, 2 back, for a sack of nuts. With a crossing, it's 20 minutes. He's building. 4 thick logs. Nirak and Sovi are felling them. They lay them crosswise, the ends toward the bank. Between the logs are crossbars made of thin poles, tied with twine. A reed deck on top. Simple, flimsy. It creaks with every step, but it holds the weight of an adult. The women walk across it on the first day. Quietly, carefully, every step with caution. Then faster, then running. Then they laugh. The old woman Tihi stands on the bank and does not go. She is over 40. She is going blind. Her left eye can no longer see. Her right is cloudy. Her sister lives on the other side, in the clan that migrated 20 years ago. They haven't seen each other. The ford was washed away. The detour through the headwaters takes 3 days. Impossible for a blind old woman. Hael approaches her, takes her by the hand, leads her, slowly, step by step. She holds onto his hand and walks. The planks creak. The water roars below. She cannot see, but she feels. Solid ground beneath her feet. Not stones, not water. A path across the river. On the other bank, her sister awaits her. Old, almost as blind as she is. They meet in the middle of the path beyond the bridge. Tihi holds out her hands. Her sister takes them. They stand, silently, for a long time. Hael stands to the side and watches. Then he leaves, quietly, so as not to disturb them. The 12th year. He is 10. The winter of the 12th year begins with a roar. A thunderstorm in December. Unprecedented. The elders say nothing like this has ever happened before. Nalmi says the spirits of the sky are angry. Hael knows that a warm front has collided with Arctic air. But he doesn't say so. He nods. Yes, the spirits. The morning after the storm, people arrive at the village. Not the reed people, not the owls. Newcomers. 17 people. Women, children, 3 old men, not a single adult men. They came from the headwaters. They walked for 2 days, without food, without furs, without anything. Their clan was destroyed by wolves. The wolf tribe from the western hills. They attacked at night, took the meat, took the furs, took the men. Those they didn't take, they killed. The women and children fled. They walked along the river. They'd heard that further downstream there was a stone nest where they wouldn't let you die. They arrived. Tokon stands before them. He looks. 17 hungry mouths. That's a burden. In winter, when supplies are scarce. He turns to Hael. Hael counts. 52 people in the settlement. 17 new ones. 69. There's enough grain. Fish from the Kamyshovs will arrive in a week. There's not much meat, but the owl hunters will bring some. He nods. Tokon says, "Come in." 17 people enter the village. The children go first, little ones, with big eyes, with sore feet. One boy is carrying a girl on his back, his sister. She can't walk. Her leg is swollen, a dislocation or a fracture. Nalmi takes the girl, carries her into the house. Hot water, herbs, a bandage. She works silently and quickly. Hael watches and sees. Nalmi has changed. A year ago, she would have muttered incantations and smeared ash on the wound. Now she boils water. She washes the wound. She applies a splint made of sticks and bast cloth. She hasn't stopped believing in spirits. She's just added hot water and clean cloth to the spirits. And it works better. She knows it. She won't admit it, but she knows. Wolves. That's the problem. Hael thinks about it all night. Wolves. An aggressive clan. Hunters. Warriors. They don't grow. They don't build. They don't change. They take. That's how their fathers lived. That's how they live. They'll find out about the settlement, if they don't already know. Stone houses, grain stores, pots, fish. To the wolves, this isn't a settlement. It's a warehouse, a raid. Take and go, simple. Hael needs protection, not Sora's bow, not Nirak's spear. A system, a wall, a moat, a gate. He can't build a fortress. No time, no people, no materials. But he can build a barrier. In the morning, he calls a council. For the first time, he calls it himself. Not Tochon, him. Tochon allows it. Hael speaks. The wolves will come, maybe in a month, maybe in 2, but they will come. They've heard about the settlement. They've seen the refugees. They'll follow the trail. We must be ready. The council listens. The hunters frown. They know the wolves. The wolves are stronger. There are more of them. They are fast and vicious and not afraid of blood. In open battle, the settlement will lose. Hael speaks. We don't need open battle. We need a wall. Not around the whole village. There's no time. Around the houses, in a semicircle, from river to river, the river on one side, the wall on the other. Inside, the houses and the people. Outside, a moat. The wall isn't made of brick. That would take too long. Made of logs and earth. A rampart. An earthen rampart with a palisade on top. A moat in front of the rampart. Tohan asks how many days. Hael answers, 20 if everyone works. Everyone. Tohan stands up, says one word. Let's do it. 20 days of hell. Hael gives the orders. Everyone digs. Men, women, teenagers, even children carry earth in pots. A moat, waist deep, 3 paces wide, a semicircle from bank to bank. The earth from the ditch is piled up on the inside. They tamp it down. A rampart takes shape. They place sharpened poles on the rampart, a palisade. Not very high, chest high, but you can't jump over it, and if you run into the ditch, you'll fall in. A gate, just one, facing south, toward the path. The leaves are made of poles bound with twine, not sturdy, but they close. 10 days for the moat and the rampart, another 10 for the palisade and the gate. Hael doesn't sleep. He walks around, checking, making adjustments. Deeper here, stronger here, thinner poles here. Replace them. Sora isn't digging. Sora is training. Every day, from dawn till dusk, she shoots, she shoots, she shoots. Hael made her 20 more arrows. She shoots them all, gathers them up, and shoots again. She's already hitting targets 40 paces away. Accurately. Targets the size of a head. Nirak is training 3 young hunters. Spears, shields. Shields made of woven reeds stuffed with clay. They won't stop an arrow, but they'll stop a stone. The 20th day. The wall is ready, the moat is ready, the gates are closing. Hael stands on the rampart and watches. It's ugly, crooked. The palisade sticks out like rotten teeth. The moat is uneven. The rampart is crumbling on one side. But it is a barrier. The first man-made barrier in the history of Nungari. Behind it are 69 people. Children, old people, women, hunters, people who spent 3 weeks digging in the mud and hauling logs because a 10-year-old boy said they had to. The wolves will arrive in 6 days. Morning, dawn, fog from the river. Sora sees them first. She wakes Hael. He jumps up, runs to the rampart, looks. 30 people, men, with spears and clubs, painted, red clay on their faces, stripes, the mark of the wolves. They're walking along the trail, confidently. They aren't waiting for the wall, they're waiting for the camp. Skins on poles, scattered campfires, easy prey. They emerge from the fog and stop. Before them is a moat. Beyond the moat is a rampart. On the rampart, a palisade. Behind the palisade, people. Many people. With spears, with bows. The wolves stand and watch. Their chief, a large man with 2 scars across his face. He stands at the front and watches. His eyes scan the wall from left to right. The moat, the rampart, poles, a gate. He doesn't understand what he's seeing. He's never seen fortifications before. But his instinct tells him, this isn't a camp. It's a trap. It's a place where the attacker loses the advantage. He stands and thinks. Hael stands on the rampart and looks at him. A 10-year-old boy on the mud wall looks at the warrior who has been people since childhood. Between them is a moat and 30 paces. The wolf chieftain takes a step forward. He speaks loudly. They have come to take grain and pots. If you give them, they will leave. If you do not give them, They will take them themselves. Tokan stands next to Hael. He looks at the boy. He waits. Hael speaks, loudly, so everyone can hear. There is enough grain for everyone. If the wolves want grain, let them send people to work in the fields. He will give them pots, 5 pots, in exchange for meat. There will be no raid, because on the other side of this ditch stand people who have something to lose, and they will not yield. The wolf chieftain listens. He watches. Then he laughs loudly. He says the boy talks like a grown man but looks like a dry twig. Then he stops laughing. He says he'll come back with a large force, and he'll take it. He turns around. He leaves. 30 wolves disappear into the fog. Hael stands on the rampart. His knees are shaking. His hands are wet. He was just bluffing. The wall wouldn't have held. The moat wouldn't have stopped 30 warriors. If they'd really charged, they would have breached the palisade in a minute. But they didn't charge, because they didn't understand what they were seeing. Because a wall is unfamiliar. Because the unknown is more frightening than a spear. He bought time. Don't. Time. Sora stands nearby, with a bow. The string is drawn. She's been aiming at the wolf chieftain the whole time he's been speaking. If he had stepped toward the ditch, she would have shot. Hael knows. She knows that he knows. Both are silent. Tokan places a hand on Hael's shoulder. Heavy. Warm. He speaks softly. You saved us. Hael shakes his head. The wall saved us. And the moat. And the hands of the 69 men who dug it. Tokan is silent. Then he says, You are the wall. Hael doesn't argue. He's too tired. He sits right on the rampart. The ground is cold, wet from the morning mist. He sits and thinks. The wolves will return. He spoke the truth. They will return. In greater numbers. Often they won't be stopped a second time. A real wall is needed. A brick one. A tall one. With towers. With a supply of arrows. With people who know how to shoot. Sora is alone. She needs students. 5, 10, 20 archers. He needs people. Lots of people. Not 50. 100, 200, 500. He needs allies. The reed people. The owls. And those he doesn't know yet. He needs an alliance. A real one. With common laws, common defense, and common benefit. He is 10 years old. He has bricks and grain and one bow. Against a world where the strong take and the weak die. He stands up, dusts off his hands, walks to the stove. Work won't wait. Spring of the 13th year. He is 11. Hael is working on 3 fronts at once. First, the wall, brick, around the village. Not the entire perimeter, a semicircle from shore to shore, like an earthen rampart, but taller. As tall as an adult, 2 bricks thick, with a base 3 bricks wide. He calculates. The perimeter is 120 paces. The height is 12 rows of bricks. The thickness is 2 bricks. That comes to about 5,000 bricks. At 40 bricks per load, that's 125 loads. At 2 loads a day, in 2 kilns, 2 months. Plus molding, plus drying, plus laying, 6 months of work. He needs more people, more kilns. He's building a 3rd kiln, a 4th, a 5th. Each new kiln is an apprentice. A hunter from Sov who no longer wants to hunt because clay is more interesting. A refugee woman with strong hands and patience. A teenager from Kamishov who came to learn and stayed. Each kiln has its own master. Hael doesn't stand by the kilns. He walks among them, checks, adjusts, teaches, then moves on. Bricks pile up like mountains. They dry on the riverbank, in rows, hundreds, thousands. Nirok is in charge of the bricklaying. He has learned. He knows the foundation and the mortar and the course and the jointing. Hael showed him the jointing. Each top brick covers the joint between the two bottom ones. That way, the wall is monolithic. Nirok remembered it the first time. The wall is growing, slowly, row by row, but it grows. The second direction, the union. Hael sends Nirak to the Reed clan with a proposal. A general council. Once a month, on the banks of the Nungari, all the clans that trade with the settlement, the Kamashovs, the Owls, the Refugees, and a new clan, the Fox clan from the southern forest. They arrived a month ago, 12 people, to trade fur for pots. They saw the wall. They stayed. Hael doesn't chase anyone away. Every new clan is a pair of hands. Every pair of hands is bricks and grain and arrows. More people. More safety. More strength. The first council, on a flat rock by the river. Tokon, the Kamashov's elder, the Owl's chief, the Fox's elder, Hael. Sora stands behind with a bow. People gather behind a single stone. For the first time in Nungari's history, the chiefs of different clans sit and speak together. They do not shout. They do not threaten. They speak. Hael leads. He says the wolves are coming. That separately they'll be killed one by one. That together they have a chance. That together it's a wall and a moat and archers and grain and pots and homes for everyone. The Kamashov elder asks what he wants in return. Hael answers, fish, every moon, boats to transport bricks, 10 young men for to build the wall. Reed thinks. He nods. The Owl Chief asks the same. Hael answers, hunters for patrols, meat, hides for the winter. Chief Owl nods. Elder Fox asks. Hael answers, fur, lots of fur, for clothing, for blankets, for trade. Fox nods. Everyone gives what they have. Everyone gets what they need. Exchange. Not money, not a market, but an exchange, a system. Small, fragile, but it works. The council ends. Tokon approaches Hael afterward, speaks quietly. You spoke like a chief just now. Hael shakes his head. He's not a chief. He's the boy with the bricks. Tokon smiles. For the first time in Hael's memory, he smiles. He says, the boy with the bricks to whom is responsible for 4 clans. The third direction. A bridge. Not a log crossing, a real bridge. Across the small Nungari tributary. That very one, but sturdy, on supports, made of wood and brick, which will stand for years. Across which a sailboat will pass. No, boats don't sail on the tributary. But across which a cart will pass? No, there is no cart, no wheels, but across which 100 people will walk in a line. 3 supports, brick, dug into the riverbed. How? Hael thinks for a week. Then he finds a solution. Summer. The tributary is running low. At its narrowest point, the water is knee-deep. He puts the men in the water. They stack stones. Lots of stones. A pile on the bottom, bricks on top of the pile, row after row. A pillar rises from the water, made of brick, 2 bricks by 2, as tall as a man. 3 pillars, 4 paces between them. Logs are placed on the pillars, thick, straight. Nirok and 10 men felled trees for 3 days. Across the logs, poles. Across the poles, planks. No, not planks. Trunks split lengthwise, rough, uneven, but flat on one side. You can walk on them. Railings. Poles on the sides, tied with rope, at waist level, so you don't fall. A bridge. 20 paces long, 3 supports, wooden planks on brick pillars. The first real bridge across water in the history of Irin. Hael stands on one bank. On the other, a crowd. Both clans. The reed people who came for the opening, the owls, the foxes, the refugees, everyone. Over 100 people. Hael doesn't give a speech. He walks over to the old woman Tehi, takes her by the hand. She is almost completely blind. Her right eye sees only light. Her left sees nothing. He leads her to the bridge. She feels the planks under her feet. Not the ground, not stones. Wood. Even. Smooth. She walks. He holds her hand, step by step. The bridge doesn't creak. The bridge doesn't sway. The bridge stands firm. They reach the middle. Tehi stops. She feels the wind from the river. She hears the water below. She speaks softly. "We're above the water," Hael says. "Yes." They walk on. On the other bank is Tehi's sister, 100, hunchbacked, but alive. She came, on purpose, when she heard they were building a bridge. Tehi steps off the bridge. Her sister takes her by the hands. They stand there. Their faces touch. 20 years. 20 years with just a river between them, 10 meters of water, a washed-away ford. And they haven't seen each other in 20 years. Now there's a bridge. Now it's possible. Tehi cries. Her sister cries. A woman on the bank begins to cry. Then another. Then the old hunter from Sov who never cried in front of people. He stands there, tears streaming down his face, and he doesn't wipe them away. 100 people on both banks, in silence. No one is shouting. No one is clapping. Everyone is just standing there, realizing one thing at the same time. We are different people now, not the ones we used to be. Different. We are building bridges. We're connecting the banks. We're making it so the blind old woman can hug her sister. It's us, all together. Hael stands off to the side, alone. He looks at Tehi and her sister, then at the bridge, then at the people, then at his own hands, small, covered in clay, covered in calluses. He isn't crying. He's already cried. On the night when the children weren't coughing. Now he just stands and breathes and thinks. It's worth it all the sleepless nights, all the days by the stove, all the coughing and the pain in his hands and the fear of the wolves. It's worth it, because the old woman hugged her sister, and that is enough. Then Irin approaches him, quietly, stands beside him, says nothing, just stands there. A minute later, Sora approaches, from the other side, also in silence. 3 children on the riverbank, an 11-year-old boy, an 11-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl. They stand and look at the bridge they built, and at people who are crying, and at the world that is changing. Slowly, brick by brick, grain by grain, arrow by arrow, bridge by bridge. In the evening, Hael sits on the roof of the house. Yes, on the roof. The reeds are sturdy enough to lie flat on. He lies on his back and looks at the sky, the stars, the same ones as in his past life, the same constellations, the same Milky Way, a different world, the same stars. He thinks about what was and what will be. Was. 31 people on the shore, skins on poles, coughing at night, hunger every 3rd winter, death as a matter of course. It became 100 people, 6 houses, 5 stoves, a wall, a moat, a bridge, grain, pots, trade, an alliance of 4 clans. 4 years. He did it in 4 years from the moment he began to act, from the age of 7 to 11. To come. War with the wolves. It is inevitable. The wall will help, but won't solve it. More is needed. Bronze is needed. For bronze, copper and tin are needed. For copper, a bellows-fired furnace capable of temperatures over 1,000 degrees is needed. For such a furnace, fire bricks are needed. For fire bricks, special clay is needed. A staircase. Step by step. Each one stands on the one before it. But he is no longer alone on this staircase. Sora, Irin, Nirak, Nalmi, Tokon. 100 people, 4 clans, and the reed woman who cooks fish soup in his pot downstream, and the owl hunter who sleeps in the brick house, and blind Tehi who crossed the bridge. Each of them is a step. Every brick in the wall is someone's hands. Every grain in the field is someone's sweat. He lies on the roof and breathes. The air is cold, autumnal. It smells of the river and clay and smoke from 5 ovens. A good smell, the smell of home. His home. Their home. The 14th year. He is 12. The village's population has surpassed 200. 3 new clans have arrived in the last year, some from the south, some from the east. Everyone has heard of the stone nest on Nungari. Hael turns no one away. Every new person means hands. Hands mean bricks and grain and arrows. The settlement is no longer a settlement. It is a small town. Hael does not call it that. There is no word for town here. But it is a town. 20 houses. A brick wall as tall as a man. A moat. A gate. 5 ovens. 3 fields. A bridge. A market. Yes, the market. A clearing by the river where every moon the reeds, the owls, and the foxes gather and bring fish and fur and meat and take away pots and cloth and grain. Hael doesn't trade himself. He appointed Jeong Hael, Kang Jeong Hael, the daughter of the reed chieftain. She is 16. She arrived 3 moons ago, not voluntarily, a hostage. The reed clan chieftain sent his daughter as a pledge of loyalty to the alliance. That's how they do things here. Hael accepted her, not because he needs a hostage, because he needs someone who knows the Kamishavs from the inside, their language, their customs, their trading tricks. Jeong Hael has hated him from day one. He can see it. Proud. Beautiful by any world's standards. Tall, with long black hair braided into 3 plaits in the Kamishav custom, with dark eyes that look down on everyone. She is the chief's daughter. She was given away like a thing. She expects humiliation, expects to be forced to skin animals or carry water, or worse. Hael leads her to the pottery workshop. Yes, a workshop. A separate house for working with clay, with shelves, with molds, with a kiln nearby. He leads her there and says, "The Kamishavs have the best nets in all of Nungari." He's seen them. The weaving is fine, the knots are strong, the thread doesn't break. He doesn't know how to weave like that. No one here does. Teach our women to weave nets, and he'll teach her people to build a boat that doesn't sink in the rapids. Jeong Hael stands and looks at him, silently. She expected humiliation. She received an offer, not slavery, work, not an order, an exchange. She is silent for a long time. Then she speaks. She is not a dole. She is the chief's daughter. She doesn't weave nets. Hael nods. He speaks. Then tell me how. Who in your clan weaves best of all? What knots? What fiber? What length? Tell me, and I'll make sure your knowledge becomes valuable. More valuable than you think. She looks at him. A 12-year-old boy. Skinny, with a wheeze in his chest. He speaks like an adult, like a chieftain, like her father, only without the threat, without the pressure, with respect for what she knows. She remains silent for another minute. Then she speaks. All right. Over the course of a month, Yoon-hee changes. Hael sees it day after day. At first she speaks reluctantly, in short sentences, then longer ones. Then she starts to show. She takes a reed fiber. She weaves, knot by knot. Her fingers remember, even if her mind denies it. She grew up among nets. She's seen weaving since birth. She knows more than she thinks. The women from the village sit nearby and copy her, crookedly, slowly, but they copy. Yoon-hee corrects them, at first coldly, then more patiently, then almost warmly. For the first time in her life, her knowledge is valued. Not her beauty, not her blood, not her father, her knowledge. It breaks her. From the inside, quietly, without tears, without words. Just one evening, she sits by the fire and tells Hael that the Kamyshovs have a way of drying fish so that it keeps for 3 moons, not 1 as usual, 3. She explains how. Hael listens. It's important. 3 moons of storage is a strategic reserve. It's winter without hunger. He thanks her. Yoon-hee turns away, but he sees the corner of her mouth twitch, almost a smile. The first one. Sora doesn't like Yoon-hee. Hael sees it. 2 girls, one a hunter, the other the chief's daughter. One is silent, the other is proud. They don't quarrel, they don't fight, they just don't look at each other. Hael doesn't interfere, not yet. He's 12. It's too early for him to think about what's between them. Later, not now. The summer of the 14th year, Hael does what he's been waiting 3 years to do. Copper. You need ore for copper. He doesn't know where the ore is, but he knows the signs. Green stones by the river, malachite, lapis lazuli, copper green. He walks along the banks of the Nungari every free day. He searches. He doesn't find anything. A week. 2. 3. On the 4th, a merchant from a distant tribe arrives, from the north, from the headwaters. He brings strange stones to trade, heavy, dark, with green veins. He wants to trade them for pots. Hael takes a stone, heavy. He turns it over, green, copper green. It's ore. He asks where it's from. The merchant says, "The northern marshes. There are plenty of these stones there. They lie in the streams. Nobody needs them. Heavy and useless." Hael takes them all, 12 stones. He gives 20 pots. The merchant leaves happy, 20 pots for a pile of useless stones. Hael stands with the stones and smiles. 20 pots for a door into the Bronze Age. Now the furnace. To smelt copper, a temperature of at least 1080 degrees is needed. His furnaces reach 700, maybe 800. Not enough. He needs bellows, a device to force air into the fire. More air, more oxygen, higher temperature. He knows the principle. 2 pieces of leather sewn into a bag, with a tube at the end. You press. Air flows through the tube into the furnace. You release. The bag fills with air. You press again. He makes the bellows in a week. Deer hide, tanned, soft. Nalmi helped. She knows how to treat leather better than anyone.